equilibrium that has not hurt us is not likely to hurt us. That is the reason why children cry when their mothers leave the room, even when she tiptoes, even when the child is not looking. She feels a change in the atmosphere, probably from the smell of the mother. So change is so important that we have to give attention to change. And learning is responding to change. But why do we learn? What do we learn for? Do we learn such that we can get degrees or get titles, become a professor, go from secondary school to university? These are not the reasons why we learn. They are byproducts of learning, and probably at best, they are indices of the fact that we have learned. The fundamental objective of learning is to acquire sufficient knowledge and skills to impact the environment in order to improve the human condition. If you have learned, and what you have learned does not change your environment, you really have not learned. If what you have learned does not make life better for human beings and improve the overall state of the ecosystem in which humans live, then your learning is at best put to question. In learning, we use various tools. And as a technologist, I have had the privilege of studying the tools with which we learn. And I want to direct your attention to some of these tools. Humans have always made tools from millions of years. In fact, there are records, known records, post-prehistory, that humans have made tools for at least 2 million years, according to what is called the Oldovan tradition. Oldovan comes from some place in Tanzania, Olduvai Gorge, where some of the earliest human species have been found and evidences of tool making have been found. One fundamental principle that follows humans' use of making and using of tools from that time until recently is that every tool that is made, the use for which it is to be put is decided by the person who made it. Somebody makes a knife and sells it to you, he's told you use it to cut. Somebody makes a car, sells it to you, he's told you use it to move around. And everything that is made according to that tradition, the use to which it is to be put is determined and defined by the maker. But recently, we have developed a tool whose use does not depend on the maker. And that is the computer. If a person makes a computer and sells a computer to you, he cannot fathom, he cannot imagine what you are likely to use it for. Because the computer, in a way, is like a general purpose hardware whose use is determined by some software. So, if the use of the computer is determined by software, it means, therefore, that it's the user that will determine what it will be used for. The user uses. So the user defines the use. And that is the character of the computer. But computers, general purpose as they may be, the software that ran them were defined. So even though the computer is general purpose, the software that runs them is strict. The software is designed to do something, it does only that. But also of recent, there has been a development in which we now develop a general purpose software whose use is defined and determined by the data you feed to it. So we find that we keep going in this train of from the specific to the general. And the important issue here is that this is one of the core principles of education, core principles of learning. I see a billboard of some school not too far from where I live. It says something interesting, though cliche. It says, we do not teach our children what to think, we teach them how to think. The problem of teaching children what to think is that there are 1,000,001 things to think. And the chances are the things you taught them to think may not be called upon in the situations they meet. The situations might not arise. But if you teach them to think, when any situation arises, they will think out what to do in the situation. And this is very, very fundamental. And this is why the whole world of technology is moving in this direction of stopping to think, to teach the computer what to think, but how to think. And that is what we now refer to as a machine learning. As human beings, we observe our environment, we describe our environment, we store the information we derive from observing our environment and describing, we analyze these situations, and when you do that, patterns emerge. You start noticing patterns in things happening. And when patterns emerge, the implication is that you are getting into situations where you are able to predict. Because if there is a pattern and you see the pattern unfolding, you can predict what is going to happen. And probably as a summary of a lot of things that have been said by my two earlier eminent speakers, that teaching children to know things, to have information, to recognize elements of data is not the what to do in the world in which we find ourselves now. The important thing is to teach them to recognize patterns in society such that they will be able to make predictions when they notice patterns emerging. This is very, very important. I work within an organization with the name S2P Africa. S2P Africa stands for Science to Products Africa. That is, we are looking at a situation in which the science we teach our young people leads to the production of physical products or services. And we have noticed that part of the problem with the education we've given our children, all from the primary through the secondary and even at the tertiary level, is that, like I said earlier on, we teach them a lot of theories, most of which they can't even understand why we're teaching them. Binomial theorem. Okay, to what end? Various things we teach them. we do not relate these things we are teaching them to practical solutions. And we fill their brain up with information. And like I said, we just hope that one day they will need that information. Maybe they might, but the chances are that they might not. So in S2P, we deal with, we talk about theory at point of need. So before we teach any theory, we present a problem. We describe the problem sufficiently that engineering students can engage the problem to the point where they now find that, we need to know how these things relate. So that need to know becomes an impetus, becomes a kind of encouragement to learn the theory. So the theory now is not anymore some drab, dry memorization, but a principle based on patterns that have been observed in history. So, if this is the kind of thinking we are going to expect of the students that you produce from nursery schools to primary schools, secondary school, it is important that we start inculcating this kind of thinking from this point on. What we will find is that if we just equip our students with the capacity to remember, they will face problems that what they remember may not address. One of the difficulties in making technology work for our environment is that every problem that technology solves, every answer that technology gives comes from certain issues in culture. So we are saying that technology answers questions raised by culture. Technology answers questions raised by culture. Now, if technology answers questions raised by culture, then there's a problem with this thing we refer to as technology transfer. Because the technology you are trying to transfer was raised by a certain culture. Now, if you transfer the technology and you find the technology exciting, it provides you some status symbol. If you do not also transfer the problem that the technology solved, the technology is useless to you. And that is why when we transferred the technology of fork and knife, we started to eat steak. Now, you see somebody smoking gari with fork, then you know that there's a problem with a technology answering a question that the local culture did not raise. The point why I'm making this, the reason why I'm making this point, is that we need to develop young people who can respond to local problems. There is no particularly German way of changing the gear lever of a BMW. There is no particularly French way of holding the steering of a Peugeot. There is no particularly Swedish way of depressing the accelerator of an Opel. But there are issues in culture that are strict and unique that only those who understand the culture and the problem can solve. A major problem in our education is we are not developing our children to be able to solve local problems. In fact, we give them the impression that looking at local problems is like something below their dignity. I come from a tradition that eats a lot of pounded yam. Pounded yam is made by lifting a pistol up and hitting the yam in the mortar, and over and over and over again. Somebody tried to make a yam pounder. The yam is pommeled in a rotary fashion. And you find that if you don't eat it within 10-20 minutes, it starts looking funny, because the level to which it has been atomized is different from what we are used to. Now, I have never, in the 40 years in which I've been teaching engineering, found now that the Chinese have taken over our television in Star Times. If you ever go to a Star Times office, you can't understand them. There are about two or three of them, and they have one-syllable English names: Jim, Dan, Mike. They are the ones that will speak some kind of Chinglish to you. Time and this time, if you dare open up any of your computers, you will see inside it made in Vietnam, chips made in Vietnam. That is the situation of countries that have faced the issue of domesticating and they get faced with the real things, they sometimes get the jitters. They call me and say, we have this problem, we have this problem. Sometimes I spend 30 minutes, 1 hour, Skyping, WhatsApping, teaching them as though they were still sitting with me in Canada, in the UK, all over the world. We need to take these developments very seriously and use them to improve our capacity to bring up our children
Thank you very much, sir. We only have the opportunity to take only one question.
You gave us an analogy with students not particularly know to, so to speak, in quotes, to an e-life found in the systems of education. What is the implication of having a school found in probably one rural area where there is challenge? Parents can, this cost definitely will have to be passed on to the parents, and school owners are not able to provide these versions of education to the kids. How is it possible for, or what would maybe my question is, what are low-cost interventions that can be applied in schools that do not have access to that level of funding? And then my second question is on mother tongue, especially for those
when we look at what happens over a period of time, there's a particular animal called government that has to get involved. And that's where where complications come in. But you hinted me at the answer when you talk about low-cost devices. At the time when GSM became popular around the world, a young man who studied electrical engineering from Pakistan he resigned his work in Wall Street, went to join another equally crazy person by the name of Muhammad Yunus, who started the Grameen Bank, the Bank for the Poor. And they agreed to set up telephone cells along bank branches that were situated under bamboo sheds in Pakistan. Before that revolution, the bulk of the money that was being loaned out to people was to buy cow and produce milk. So Grameen Bank expanded to giving out loans to buy phones. And even though in Europe, where this technology comes from, Europe is a heavily individualistic society. And that's why you hear things like personal computer, personal digital assistant, personal this, personal that. But when the Pakistani took the phone, they didn't see it as a personal this, personal that. One lady called the phone lady is given a loan to buy a phone, and somebody wants to make a call and say, hey, phone. And the woman brings the phone, and he makes his call and pays, and the woman goes back. So what in the West is seen as a personal device became a communal device, and it made a whole lot of difference to that community. They became part of the so-called globalized information world in their own way. So we need to look at creative ways of using these technologies. Something, like I said, as simple as WhatsApp. It is not too expensive to project a WhatsApp group in a class so that children can see what is going on. WhatsApp transmits images, it transmits text, it transmits sound. In fact, it transmits what we call multimedia and multimodal information. So it is possible to adapt these things for education. We use them to chit chat, we use them to do a bit of business, but they can be adapted for education, and we should. And there are very many examples. It's just that we think that if we don't do it the way it's done in the West, we are not using the technology appropriately. The problem of this falsehood called technology transfer. Well, I was going to warn that you shouldn't get me started on mother tongue education because that is subject for another seminar. But suffice it to say that we have examples to fall on. In the late 60s, early 70s, a one-time Minister of Education in Nigeria, before he became a Minister of Education, undertook what he called a 6-year primary education program in which they had 2 classes of primary school students from primary 1 all the way to primary 6. Primary 1A was taught everything, including geography, in Yoruba, and taught English as a second language. Primary 1B was taught everything in English and taught Yoruba as a subject. And they put tracers on all these children, watched what happened in the secondary school. The funniest thing that happened in secondary school was that the children that were taught in Yoruba did better in English and mathematics than those that were taught in English. We have all that data. There are books written on it. There are academic papers published after it. They traced all the way to universities. I have a friend amongst them who is now a professor. And there are various examples of people who have achieved important things in life having gone through that process. And that kind of corroborates what is happening in the various parts of the world. One question I am constantly asked when I dare to bring up this problem is, how then do we unite Nigeria? We cannot unite Nigeria around a foreign language. It just will not happen. There is no account in history of a nation that became great having adopted another nation's language. So, People say things like, but we have very many languages. I don't think the issue is so much very many languages. The issue is how many speakers do you have for each of these languages? A friend of mine, late now, God bless his soul, refers to the so-called 3 major languages as the 3 major problems of Nigeria. He says the 3 major problems. Now, these 3 major problems, according to him, they have speakers in the probably around 20 million of each of them. So we now refer to languages like Ibibio, like Ijo, like Fulfulde, that have only 10 million speakers as minority languages. Guess what? There's a language called Swedish. 6 million speakers. It produced the phone you call Ericsson. 6 million. Another language called Finnish, Finland, 5 million speakers, produced Nokia. So if what we are talking about is that there's no scale, mass, and all that, we have seen smaller language communities do it. And in both countries, Sweden and Finland, at the top there, near the North Pole, is a small community that straddles Sweden, Finland, and goes a little into Russia. They are called the Inari. 170,000 max population. They study all the way to university in their local languages inside Finland, inside Sweden. Well, I was at a conference once, and somebody, some Nigerian, who are very adventurous Nigerians, who had studied various Chinese languages, came to present a paper on one of the minority languages in China. Number of speakers, 300 million. So it's all about scales. It's all about scales. So if we are going to bell the cat, if we are going to be the first in the world to use a foreign language to achieve great things, we are not going about it the way things are. Well, I mean, we are not putting enough efforts into it because, English is like, I cannot come and go and die. Open the door down. Cannot produce technology. And I hear them in UI Staff Club.
Well, we're afraid listen, we're just stirring the pot, okay? We're stirring the pot looking for solutions. Now, I've asked the caterers that are hanging around to please come in and serve you on your seats here if you want to buy food or drinks or anything. So please sit. We want to give 4 different organizations an opportunity to do simple pitches to you. The gentleman who has the WhatsApp group is here from Lagos, Mr. Beniza. Would love to hear from him very soon. We also have, by the grace of God and very great favor, Microsoft are in the house with us right now. And so he's going to be our first speaker. We're just going to take a minute to take a deep breath. Are you ready? Make sure his slides are ready. We're going to invite the gentleman from Microsoft. But in the interim, I'm giving permission. Normally, we don't let the caterers come in to serve food so that they don't keep the place dirty. But I've told my staff, immediately after they finish, when the workshop starts, they'll come and clean up after you to make sure that the place is decent. So, but we're going to start off with Microsoft in a minute. And then after that, we have to rush everything so that the workshops can start. Now, the reason why we chose to go in the direction of workshops is that we don't want to force you to listen to the same person. These are the only sessions that everybody listens to the same set of people. After that, you break into groups that will be available. In other words, Microsoft will still be here. Mr. Beniza will still be here. So if that's what you're interested in and your school is interested in, you go to that workshop and get properly educated. They will introduce you to the speakers at the workshops and let you know all the details you need to know about the workshops. But there's a group I want to talk to you about. They're going to be headlining tomorrow. That's the Bridge International Academies. They don't only embody what we've been teaching today, they are working it out. I think they have well over 2,000 while you're during the workshops, you can please stop at their stand over there and spend some time with them. But tomorrow will be their main day. They will be their first keynote speakers tomorrow, and they will be presenting many things to us and be taking a very special workshop for our Ibadan Southwest region. So please keep that in mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I'm going to invite Mr. Vaughn to please come up from Microsoft Nigeria.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, speakers, and everyone who has come here today. First, I want to say thank you for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to come here and speak. It's something that personally I am delighted in doing all the time because it gives me the opportunity to connect with people who I believe are doing the most amazing things in the world. Teachers, educators. So thank you for this opportunity. My name is Obatunde Vaughn. As you see on the screen, I drive digital transformation across Nigeria, particularly looking at primary and secondary schools, whether they are private schools or they are government schools. So I focus on understanding what are the major challenges that teachers face, what are the major challenges that school owners face, and how do we help them to get to do things better. So I focus on understanding deep down where is the problem and how can you embrace our solutions to meet the needs of the students in your schools, because they have diverse needs, they have unique needs. So our goal is to see how you embrace technology in driving the kind of solutions that will help your students to be prepared for the complex world of tomorrow. Today I'm going to be talking about modern classroom solutions, and I want to focus a little on one of our tools which you can take from today and begin to use in your classrooms. But before we go into this, I want us to quickly look at something. And particularly here, it's about the jobs of the future. So I'm going to give you like 15 seconds to just look at what I have on the screen. And while you're looking at it, for a moment, think about what you're currently doing in your school. As an educator, as a school owner, what are you currently doing? Does this make sense at all? Does this make sense? Can we have a look at it? Oh, sorry. Apologies. Okay, so I was talking about jobs of the future. I didn't know the slide changed already. So I want us to have some time to look at that. 15 seconds. These jobs actually look like the jobs we're going to have in future. People say 2030, in 2025. But right now, we currently see that we have people like cybersecurity specialists, because we're in a cloud-first, data-driven world, whereby we are focusing on data, we are focusing on data analysis, we are focusing on data security. So the point I'm trying to make here is that these are not just jobs of the future. They are jobs that we currently see right now. They are jobs that employers like Google, like Microsoft, like McKinsey, they are already looking hard for people who are going to take this kind of jobs. The question I would ask is this: how are we preparing our students for this world of tomorrow? One thing that we can pick is that our realities, the things that we currently face, are very, very unique. This is a time for us whereby there's so much change going on. At the same time, change comes with the potential to do more. So because there's change, that we see that there's also opportunities for us to do many more things, particularly focusing on the students, the young people that we have in our classrooms. Going further, we would also see that it's a in this same city, close to this place, Jericho, and I was working as a network specialist. But I saw that beyond the job I was doing, many times my employer demanded from us to be able to come up with solutions to the problems that the customers were facing. But each time he challenged us, we failed. We would try, but we'd just see there was no capacity for us to do it. Simply because we're not taught to think critically. We're not taught to collaborate. We were taught actually to compete because we don't share information. We want to be the first in the class. We don't want the next person to be the first. So we compete. We're not taught to collaborate. Let me ask you a question about collaboration. You would see that for many of us, in polytechnics that we have seen, universities, colleges of education, when you ask people to work in a group and do a teamwork, you put 8 people, you put 10 people in a team to do something together. You would find out that one person is doing the research, 2 people are probably working with the person who is typing it, and the rest are just financial contributors. Is that true? We are not collaborating. We are not working together. There's no self-regulation. There's no mutual respect for ideas. We don't have the opportunity to challenge our own assumptions. We don't question our own imaginations. We're not taught to collaborate, to work together. What happens when you come into a place like Google, or you step into a place like Microsoft, in the very first 2 months, you are challenged with working with teams that are scattered all over the world. In a company with about 200,000 employees, with your manager not working with you in the same country, you are faced with a big challenge to collaborate. That is the point to begin to see that your A1 did not matter. Your A asterisk did not matter. Your first class, unfortunately, cannot save you because you do not have the fundamental skills to drive the impact that the organization demands from you. In the next 10, 15 years, the challenges that our young people are going to be faced with are going to be more than this kind of challenges that we have seen. But how can we make a difference? What do we need to do from here? For us in Microsoft, we have a very firm focus. And that focus is to make sure that we empower every individual on the planet to achieve more. We spread this across our schools, universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, primary and secondary schools, and we seek opportunities. We create the platform to ensure that teachers are empowered to do their jobs better. I'm not sweet-talking you. Before I joined Microsoft, I was in a community, and I'm still in a community that we call Microsoft Innovative Educator Experts. I have seen amazing teachers. Teachers who would take their home power generator and put it in the trunk in their cars and take it to their school to light up a lab whereby only one computer is working. They will use their own data. They will use their own resources. They will use their time. They will use everything that they have. It's not because the compensation is good enough. It's because they're just amazing people and they love the work that they do. So I credit all educators in this room because you do a fantastic job. It's not always because of the kind of compensation. It's just because you're passionate about it. And that's why we teach. But for us as an organization, we continue to create the platform and resources to be sure that teachers are truly empowered to do their jobs better. If we say that we are committed to education transformation, we are committed to digital transformation, we are committed to professional development, and we do not create the platform, we do not create the software, the resources, we do not empower the teachers, it will just be lip service. But I have proofs to say to you that indeed we are truly driving digital transformation. And today I'm happy to share with you some of the things that a lot of you can go back to your schools to begin to do to unlock the creativity of your students. I don't want you to start thinking about money right now because I'm going to talk to you about the very free stuff that you can still do amazing stuff with. Somebody asked about low-cost solutions. I'm very happy to share with you low-cost solutions that we have. I'm very happy to share with you free solutions that we have that you can take advantage of the moment you step out of this building. The very first thing I want to talk about is Teams for Education. Doctor had mentioned about Skype for Business and Skype calls, whereby he's able to engage with students, his students who had left the country, and is still able to pass knowledge on to them. He's able to collaborate with them. He's able to support them in their journey. He's able to provide a kind of foundation for them to fall back on in case there's a challenge that they are facing. But beyond this, we have been able to step forward and come up with a solution, a platform that we call Teams for Education. Teams is just like Skype, but does more than Skype. How many of us have heard of Teams before? Microsoft Teams for Education. Fantastic. So, what is Teams for Education? One hub for everything. For everything. For professional learning and development, for communication, for collaboration, for coordination, for PTA meetings, to engage with investors, to engage with parents, to engage with your teachers, and for teachers to engage with other teachers outside of where they are. Teams for Education is free to all schools, private, public, university, polytechnic. It is free. But it's surprising that if you don't have this kind of event, you would not know. And this is why it's a great opportunity, like I said, to be here. Because we are able to share this kind of information. Thank you. I'm going to also allow you to take some time to think about the things that you can embed and you can actually integrate with Teams. From the online Office 365 suite, to things like Flipgrid, to things like Wakelet, Microsoft Forms, Microsoft Form and Stream. These are the things that you get, that you can integrate to Microsoft Teams when you're onboarded, when you start your onboarding process. We are also happy to show you live demos. We are happy to show you how to get your accounts at the workshop stand just behind us here. So, when I was speaking on phone to you, sir, you had mentioned to us that you actually want us to talk about solutions. We understand that we have critical needs. We understand that, yes, our realities are unique. We understand that, yes, it's a time for us to drive change. But what can we do? And what do we have? And that's what I'm sharing here today. So, Teams for Education is part of what we call the O365 suite, which is available to all education institutions for free. O365A1 is available for free. What do you have under O365A1? You have what we call Office Online, which means the latest version of Office on any device, from any tab, any device, any day, any time, from anywhere. So whether you're teacher, or you have 10 different schools, or you have 3 branches, or you have 3 categories, everybody can sign up for O365A1 and they have access to Office Online for free. Put that aside, they have access to things like Teams, like I had mentioned, Exchange Online, Skype for Business, and many more, which we are going to share with you today. If you look to the right side of the slide, you would see the paid versions. But there's one thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to paid versions. Over the years, we saw that it was quite difficult for school owners to really pay for licenses. Simply because at the end of the day, you would have to spread the payment on the students. And the moment you do that, the teachers will come, the parents will come to you and say, look, we cannot pay. This is too much. We cannot pay. The solutions look good, but we cannot afford it. We decided to say, what will be the best way to still empower school owners to drive this kind of change in their school environment? And we came up with a program that we call Student Use Benefits. Student Use Benefits simply means
I'm talking about, because it's a visual stuff. Great. My name is Odetola Ebenezer. I'm sorry, I meant to talk tomorrow, but I'll be taking my class now because I won't be available tomorrow. So I'll be talking on model for enabling teachers and multiple income opportunity. I am an artist, and as I said, I do a lot of artwork and also a lot of teaching of teachers also. Let me ride on the next slide. What I do is to integrate the art into the curriculum. That is in terms of teaching of children and making sure that children don't just learn with just theory alone, but they learn with the use of their hand in the classroom. I have done this for over 7 years around schools in the whole of Nigeria. The picture you are looking over, can you please go to the previous slide? Okay, the picture you are seeing there was my integrated class from the science to the arts. I believe that the learning in the classroom can come in form of interconnected, whereby after the child learning maths in the classroom, I can continue with the maths with the use of my art. I have a curriculum that is actually called the interdisciplinary arts, whereby I integrate my art into the learning of a child, whereby the child can learn in a very concrete way. And also, I transform the learning environment of a child. I call my learning environment the thought teacher. What is a thought teacher? The thought teacher of a child is actually a classroom environment where a child can learn from. I call this classroom the teachable classroom. The classroom whereby is reflective to the curriculum, and also is a classroom that the child can feel welcoming when he or she is actually inside. A lot of these, you can also see some of my works online. My name is Odetola Ebenezer Israel. I'm trying to go fast. I also train teachers also on how they can go about this. As I said, I've traveled to so many states as actually for this month to teach teachers on how they can create the thought teacher of a child, and also on how they can make their classroom works. Also, as an artist and also as a teacher I also have products for teachers also, so that it won't just be all about me coming to schools to come and do a lot in schools. I have a product called Eben Courts. Eben Courts is a product for teachers that you only spend just 1,000 naira and 300 naira to get a lot done in your classroom environment. The last thing about me is that I'm popularly known as the magic finger. I'm very sure you are not I'm not known in this environment, you know. On a normal day, if I stand up like this, I'll be like, Mr. Eben, Mr. Eben. But but I will try my best to actually introduce what I do. Another thing about me is that I have the largest WhatsApp platform in Africa called CME. I have 95 WhatsApp group. As I'm talking to you right now, my phone vibrates at least every 2 minutes. I receive message on my phone. Last year on that platform, we complete a whole academic year on the platform for about 7 months before our annual conference. These are the classes we actually conducted for this year. We've hosted Mrs. Ebimbo Oloyede, the Channels television broadcaster. We've also hosted Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, and a lot of them. I saw somebody outside there, and the person said, your face is familiar, that she belongs to that platform called CME. CME, thank you very much, ma. Thank you for coming. I think I have some people around who actually belong to the platform. CME is called the Creative Mind Educators Platform, and it's a free university for teachers. You can actually learn a lot with just your phone through this platform. It's a continuous learning platform for teachers to learn what they have actually been taught over the years in the classroom environment. And for today, I just want to talk briefly about that's the platform. As you can see, says screen out of the platform. That success is not what? It's not what? It is what? Hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrificing, and what? Most of all, love of what you are doing. What I'm actually talking about is that you need to love what you are doing for you to succeed in this life. I am not a motivational speaker, but because of the topic given to me on a normal day, after my class, I'm meant to bring out my scissors and start doing some cutting at the front of you, teaching you on how to convert the learning environment of a child. But I will just try my best, put in some of the little things about what I do, and then with that, you'll be able to learn from it this morning. I believe in creativity, because without creativity, I don't believe that a teacher can do without being creative in the classroom. Creativity will take you far as a teacher. So as a teacher, creativity should be one of the attributes you should what? You should try your best to acquire, because you can't be teaching in the classroom without understanding your learners. And some people do talk about things that creativity is all about drawing and painting. Creativity is not all about drawing and painting. Creativity is beyond drawing and painting. I address my own creativity through artistic skills, but there are so many ways we can actually address creativity in the learning environment. Let's check the picture on the screen. The picture of the screen is talking about the teacher teaching in the classroom, and the children don't actually understand. It's the picture is quite somehow that the learning environment of a child should not just base on auditory and visual. That means the learning environment of a child should also base outside those two things. We have kinesthetics. The children can learn through what? Through movement. And also, I believe on what I call the reflective learning environment. What is a reflective learning environment? The reflective learning environment talks about adding some display board around your classroom environment to create instruction in the classroom for children to what? To learn from in the learning environment of the child. A very straightforward slide. A very straightforward slide. Let me tell you something about me. I think this should be my first time of standing for 30 minutes. I stand like this from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for my class. You can actually check online to see. But I will see how it can go in a way whereby I will manipulate what I have on this. So how do we enable this multiple income as a teacher based on what I've actually talked about as my introduction? The number one thing is adaptation. Adaptation is key. As a teacher, we should be able to adapt to anywhere we find ourselves. I am an artist. Because I'm an artist does not mean that if I find myself in the school environment, I should not behave like a teacher. I am a teacher as I'm talking to you. So if I find myself in the learning environment of a child, I should behave like what? Like an educator. I don't wear this to school. Please note. If I get to school, I should what? Put on what? The normal, proper way of learning. That is part of adaptation. So adaptation is a very wide subject matter. So we should think about what? About ability to what? To adapt to the new system. Technology is part of the adaptation. And adaptation is a very wide subject matter. Another thing, which is my own field, is for teachers to what? To create an identity classroom. And I believe in that statement that your classroom is your co-teacher. Do you believe in that statement? That your classroom is your co-teacher. And I believe that the learning of environment of a child can become an instructional tool rather than just a space. It simply means that your classroom environment can become a tool to teach, instructional materials to teach, rather than just making it the four corner with a blank, lovely color. And I also believe that the design of your classroom, it is not just how it looks like. The design of your classroom, it is not just how it feels like, and the design of your classroom is what? How it works. One of the ways to develop multiple income from my theory is that the teacher should want to create an identity classroom. I'm going to display some pictures of people who have what? Who have actually worked on some of this theory, and I know that we can learn more about it this afternoon. Another thing is for you to find a platform to what? To actually start writing things or to comment. Look for platform to what? To comment, or a platform to showcase who you are. Remaining. A platform to showcase who you are. And I'm actually know that you learn a lot from them by the time you do that. Optimize your social media profile. As I'm talking to you, I am popularly known just because of Facebook. I met Mrs. Adevisaya on Facebook. I met a lot of people on Facebook. I won't lie to you. If not for Facebook, I can't be standing here. I won't lie to you. If not for Facebook, I post at least in a day 10 content. As I was coming here this morning, I posted events. As I was coming here also this morning, I posted a lot of things online. I am not doing selfish. You know what I mean? Selfish. I am posting something that talks about what I do. That means that we should use our social media not to talk about things like I am going to party today, but to talk about things that we are doing. A lot of people are looking for you, but they can't actually see you because you are not using the social media to the core to get their interest. I represent a group in Finland called Elect Group, not the English one. Through Facebook, they get to know me that I do a lot of art integration into the curriculum just through this just through this Facebook. Facebook is I don't know the word to use. The next one I want to talk about is that there are so many people who are actually working on this. I have this man called Tom Samuel. Tom Samuel is a teacher, a phonics teacher. But through this Facebook also, this man is actually using the Facebook to do a lot and to make people know that he's actually he's actually doing a lot in the classroom environment. This is a teacher in Corona School. And then there's something I observe about this teacher, that this teacher did not conform himself to the learning environment. He's using the classroom, he's projecting his classroom all over the world, and then every day I get to see that a lot of people are actually interested in his style of teaching through this through this projecting. This is my sister. He's actually a teacher also, but did not limit himself to just teaching also, but try to do some hands work based on seeing me every day in the learning at home, and then he decided to come up with so many things. And she also sings. So creativity will give you opportunity to open your mind. This is also another person that I actually cherish, and she's actually here with us. And then I observe a lot about her, that she's not just somebody that just goes on social media to just do a lot of paparazzi, but talks about intellectual stuff that teachers can learn from. And I know through this, she's actually going long way. This is actually a very small girl, not small girl, but I see that she's going places just through Facebook. I won't lie to you. Just through Facebook. If you don't know her, just check online today. I'm very sure she will post online what happened in the classroom. Today in my classroom, my children said this, my children said that. So through some of these things, you can do a lot. Do you know this picture? Please, can you remember this picture? Just through Facebook also, what happened? They donated millions of computers, millions of nairas to the school. Just because he projected what exactly is happening in the classroom. So I believe creativity can do a lot for you. Through this creativity, you can actually You can actually get people's attention towards your direction. Let me explain this picture. It's a picture that I used to talk about creativity, and then we can actually get more of their content. They are called Chundogu. Chundogu is spelled Dogu. They are called the stupid inventors. They invent stupid things. But I observe something. Some of these things that they are actually inventing, they are things that will come into reality in what? In future. So creativity is not, if you see what you are doing now as rubbish, please don't see it as rubbish. I decorate classroom and sometimes we just put the picture just anyhow. Through that, I get invites every day, and then with that, and I see it as something that I need to what? To cherish. So creativity is what? Is the result of your thinking. So you have to what? Practice this again and again. Before I leave, creativity will give you an identity. Through creativity, you will get an identity. And identity don't just happen. Please note that. I am not here just because I started yesterday. I am here because I started long time ago. And I did not stop. I kept on what? Doing it again and again and again. And I know I will continue again and again and like this till I sleep one day. So creativity is the result of your what? Is the result of your hard work. My name is Odetola Ebenezer, and I know there's no time, but you can actually visit my stand, and I know that you will get to see a lot of what I do. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for Mr. Odetola again. Okay, so we have about 2 more groups who are making their pitches right now. We're going to keep the indulgence of the remaining groups, so please keep it very, very short, 10 minutes each, and then so that we can be out of here to break into the workshop sessions. We're still going to be having workshop sessions after the pitches, and we're going to be dividing ourselves into 3 major groups. So if you are a school owner or an administrator of a school here, can you raise up your hand, please? A school owner, administrator. Fantastic. Anybody? Okay, fantastic. Okay, if you are an early years teacher, you're a teacher of a primary school, nursery, primary, that's what you teach. Can you please raise up your hand? Okay. It's just about the same size. Okay, so if you're a secondary school teacher, you teach secondary students. Can I see your hands up? Okay, I think that's the largest group. So we're going to have, during the workshop session, we are going to have the secondary school teachers. They will stay here. They are the biggest group. Then we're going to have the school owners. They will stay in the garden hall. That's the hall just once you get out of here, the next hall there. And then the teachers of the early years will go into the, we call it the upper room. There's another small room in the other hall that you go there. That's where we'll break into the workshop sessions, so forth. So can I have the representative of Next Gen? Are they ready now? Okay, fantastic for their presentation.
Hello. Good day, everyone. I would like to start by thanking Pastor Francis and team for allowing us them to be part of the change. I know it's all driving about talking about change happening in the education industry, change happening in the energy industry, change happening in the way we teach. I was with someone recently, and I was a bit bothered. I said, why is it that Nigeria we are not moving forward? We've gone to other countries. Asia, they've gotten it right. America, they've gotten it right. Every continent seems to be making progress. And I came up with something very, very insightful. Every civilization is built on 3 pillars. 1, the product. The second one is knowledge. The third is money. Money will drive the knowledge, right? That is why we are here. We are here because the school gives us the knowledge to produce the product. The customers will buy the product, and we fund research. That is how the cycle goes on, and everybody is happy. But over time, we've discovered that probably because the earlier one of the keynote speakers talked about us not teaching ourselves in our local language. Maybe that is what is making us not to be innovative. There are other problems, a lot of problems. But anyway, my topic is talking about energy. How can we compete with the rest of the world? The industrial civilization came, Africa missed out. Now is the information age, right? And we are not supposed to miss out. And we're not missing out is getting it right. Because the bedrock of every development is the energy. Once we don't get our energy mix right, we are not moving forward. And unfortunately, Nigeria has the lowest generating capacity per capita in the world. With what we are generating in Nigeria, if it's distributed to everyone in Nigeria, you won't be able to power a bulb, a light bulb. It's interesting. But America, if you distribute what they are, anyway, that is high end. Even India that started with us, if you divide their total generating capacity by the number of citizens they have, they can power a flat. But in Nigeria, we can't. If it's said now that, okay, let Nigeria go, let everybody go with our asset, our energy asset, some of us won't be able to go with a light bulb to our village. So it's very, very interesting. But then there is a solution to all this. You know, throughout all this session, we'll be talking about change. Change in education, change in technology. It's all about change. And also there's a huge change, a massive change happening in energy generation. Initially, we started with centralized generation, right? We had the NEPA. NEPA will generate somewhere and give everybody. Just the same way computer started. Computer started with big computer, mainframe computers. But innovation kept on going. Now we have personal. So it's the same thing with energy. Energy started with centralized, but now we are having personal generation. And that is where solar. I don't know how many of us have heard about solar. It may not be solar, renewable. The concept is all, we have centralized generation. Rather than doing centralized generation, people are now looking at it. Why go into centralized? Why not allow them generate themselves? 3 months ago, California just made a law. Before they can approve your building, you want to build in California now, it must be energy house. Let me put it that way. Meaning you must incorporate solar to that building. Without solar to the building, they will not approve it. And you know, the interesting thing is, any trend in the world always comes from, anyway, in recent time, maybe information age, rise from information age coming forward. The change always starts from California, right? Whether it's good or bad, whether it's gay, it starts from California. From California, they push it to other world, right? And they are starting with that now. They are saying, before we can approve your building plan, it must be with solar, with renewable energy supply. So very soon, the concept of what we've been doing all this while, using our generator to power our house, will be obsolete. If it's not obsolete, it will be very expensive to do. So very, very expensive to do. It's expensive already, but then it will now be more expensive rather to do. So the earlier we start investing in, I call it future-proof alternative solution, the better. You may think it's expensive, but interestingly, even the federal government is just unfortunate. They are trying, but maybe it seems we are not just getting it right. They are trying. I don't know how many of us have heard of energizing education institution that is currently going by the federal government. Most of the tertiary institutions are earmarked to be off-grid. And to me, that is fantastic. That is where our civilization starts from. So if they've started with the tertiary institutions, so meaning as school owners, let me talk of, or residential, not necessarily school owners, we should be moving in that direction. Taking your house, off-grid. Taking your house off-grid. So what do I mean by taking your house? By the way, I didn't mention my name, right? My name is Okayibe. I have had 2 of my senior colleagues as keynote speakers. I read electrical electronics as well. Dr. Bola has spoken, and Mrs. Yomi has spoken. She was my She actually was my boss at work. So I have to be careful so that I won't lose my license. Thank you, ma. So really, it's an aspect we all should be looking at. Driving our, because we of course, the nice thing we've heard, they are interesting. ICT. If you check the computing world, there are a lot going there. We've heard of artificial intelligence, right? That machine taking over our work. Right? That's, you see a machine doing, okay, let me tell you the story of artificial intelligence. Yes, China is doing well. But other countries are looking at it. China, what advantage does China have? They have population. But Germany, they don't have population, right? But then Germany want to compete. US want to compete. So what is the place of artificial intelligence? Meaning, I can use machine and replicate the number of human beings that you have in your country and be able to achieve the same result. I was listening to a video clip one day, and I saw something instructive about education. They said, before advent of internet, education was the in thing. Everybody wanted to go to school. But immediately internet came. That is, to me, internet is, they call it monetization of knowledge. Because before then, if you go to school, they will teach you, like two theories that have changed the face of communication. It's Shannon law and Moore law. And all this came from what? Education, right? But now, assuming there was no internet, and my professor is teaching me Shannon law, Moore's law, I'll be surprised. This is interesting, this is interesting. But as he's mentioning it, I'm checking my internet. I'm knowing exactly what he's saying. I'm also checking it up. So meaning, knowledge has actually been what? Monetized. It's no longer monopoly of anybody. So for we, or some of us in education, we should understand this fact and start knowing that, look, it's not just teaching student knowledge that is the end thing now. Teach them trends. Teach them the direction is going. Teach them how to go. Someone said it's no longer preparing the way for your children, but teaching your children how to walk in the way, right? So it's the same thing with our energy mix. So we should start looking at effective way of powering our schools, effective way of powering our industries, effective way of powering our homes. And one of the effective way I will talk about is the solar. Solar means you are no longer using, a scarce commodity to power your home. What solar is just doing is, we want to use what is available everywhere. The sun is available everywhere. So I don't want to depend on Iran. I don't want to depend on Saudi Arabia. I don't want to depend on Niger Delta. I don't want to depend on to power my home. All I want is, I want my house. Once the sun, federal government is not taxing the sun yet, right? So it's still free. So once I have the sun on my roof, I know I have energy. So that's what solar is all about. And every day we have the sun. Not even the sun, the light. Because solar works with light, not sun. So once I have light, my house is powered. And I can enjoy the fine things of Microsoft is talking about, the computer things. I can enjoy the fine things of art is talking about, the Facebook things. I can enjoy all the fine things that we are talking about changes happening the way we teach and the rest. Just one sun is available. But the question will be, yes, I've heard about solar, it's expensive. But there are innovative way of financing your solar project. Like I mentioned, we cannot check it out. Rural Electrification Agency, they are giving grants to schools. We were part of recently, we worked with US ADF and Unlearn. Unlearn is, interesting thing is, even the ones driving that were the old school in the old type of generation, which is fossil fuel, like Share, they are now investing in renewable energy. Share has a foundation they call Unlearn. That is what they invest in is renewable energy. And we worked with them to finance an agri company around Oyo here now. Very soon, agri processing company, they will be off grid. But we are starting gradually with them. Very interesting. So as a school too, you can look at all those financing options. Look at grants, thank God we are students, meaning you are abreast with what is happening. You can look at grant. Look at grant to finance your school. Look at grant to finance. You can finance your house. And there are a lot of innovative ways of even financing the house. You can go with full payment. You can go with paying dear, small, like MTN is trying to do. But you can do it at a higher scale. So whichever but the most important thing is know the trend that is happening. The trend is now towards what? Being self-generating, self-serving, self-everything. Even in US is happening that way. So we should start looking at, consider it. Some of us may say, yes, I've heard, okay, storage is expensive, but there is research going on. It will go down. But just have that mind that, look, this is the trend happening. This is where I need to key in and key into it. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Please a round of applause for him again. Thank you, sir. All right, so if you're considering if the cost of energy for powering your school, your business, and your home is expensive at the moment, you should consider solar energy as an option and all that. Next Gen Services, they have a stand somewhere at the back here, and so you can just reach out to them and talk to them more, so if you can understand. And you can also shed more light on the grants and the available funding that's available for schools with you. So if you are so interested, just make sure you reach out to him. So we're going to have come up next, Miss Omotayo Adebayo of the Justice Development Peace Commission. So she will quickly make a presentation to us. Can you please come up now? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I feel very happy being here today to impact knowledge into everyone here. And I really want to appreciate our educators. We love you so much. I work closely with you, so I know that you are giving so much to the society. And we do not take that for granted at all. Actually, I'm here to speak on 5 laws of child protection. But before I talk about that, we're talking about the future of education. But there is a big monster, a very, very big one. Monster staring at children in the face, making them not to achieve their aims, making them not to get to where they ought to be. That monster restricts them right from childhood. That monster does not allow them to bring about their best. Educators impact so much knowledge into them, but they don't get the corresponding feedback. Because when they are in the classrooms and teaching these children, they go numb. They are not even listening because they are coming from a kind of environment that is not conducive for them. They are coming from an environment that is not safe for them. And so, they are not listening. How can we achieve the future of education if our children are facing violence, exploitation, and abuses every day? You want them to become somebody? Yes, they've gone to school, the best of schools. But you don't get the benefit therein because something is killing their innocence. Because something is affecting their mental balance. They cannot even deliver those things. They are willing. They'll say the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. They are so willing. And then parents invest so much money to send their children to school. But these children get to school, and then they get back home, they turn, fight their parents. What is happening? So talking about 5 laws of child protection. Okay. Sorry. All right. Yeah. In simple terms, child protection is the prevention. Okay. In simple terms, child protection is preventing. Let me say preventing, shielding, and responding to violence, exploitation, and abuses against children. Quickly to put, a child is anybody under the age of 18 according to Oyo State Child's Rights Law 2006. I know we have Child's Rights Act 2003, but when you talk about a child, anybody under the age of 18, so they fall within your target groups in primary schools, in secondary schools. But these children, when they leave their home, and come to school, some of them feel that, oh, when I get to school, I can be much more protected than my home zone, because the home doesn't even give them a conducive environment. So talking about child protection, it is what you do to prevent abuses against children. It is what you do to shield such abuses. It is what you do to respond and on time when those abuses come, staring them at the face, not allowing them to get to wherever they want to go to. We are talking about future of education. A child is a very special gift. And then a gift is something you have. And I believe that if you have a gift, you should really value that gift. So talking about the first law, if I am your need, treat me like one. If you do not need a child, I don't think you have a business getting one. Because once you get that child, it is your responsibility to protect that child against every form of abuses. A child is a very innocent being. They don't even have to beg for attention. They already earn that. You can't give birth to a child and you will not take care of that child. You will ensure that you bring out the best out of that child. So if you need me, treat me like one. A gift is something you really value. You cannot give me a beautiful car and I'll intentionally jam the car somewhere, or maybe I get to a particular environment that is not safe and I open all my doors, I open my battery. You don't treat what you value like that. So if you need me, treat me like one, because I deserve to be treated as something very, very valuable. This is the word of children to you, our educators, school owners, teachers, because they stare you in the face every day in your classroom. You see children seated there, but you don't know what is going through their minds. Some of them are victims of abuses. We keep hearing rape these days. Some of them have come from homes whereby their fathers are even sleeping with them. Some of them will go out to work each day before they report into the classroom. Oh, fine, they can even be in private school, yes. The person who employed them as a domestic help is wealthy, so she can afford to send them to a private school. So you might think, I do not have some of them in our schools. You do have them in your schools. And some of them lives within our home. They are children. You kill their innocence by getting them into homes where they are used as domestic help. So law number 2, act right for me not to be a victim. Educators, school owners, teachers, children see you as their role model. If we really want to protect them, then we should do the right thing. We should act right. Even if they are not your own, put them in the shoes of your own. What if this girl belongs to me? What if this boy belongs to me? It is unfortunate that sometimes teachers are the one even asking children of any age, 18 downward, of course, because we see issues of teenage pregnancy. They ask them out, and I wonder, somebody you should be imparting knowledge into is the person you're asking, really, what help or what marital offer can a child offer you? They should be doing the right thing, but we have issues of teenage pregnancy because the right thing was not attended to at that time. So as teachers, we should do the right thing as school owners for them not to become victims. There are things to put in place for that not to happen. We'll quickly get there. So the next one is, oh, this is not coming up. Sorry, this is not coming up. Okay, let me move. Although it might not. Okay. All right. Thank you. Do not kill my innocence, curiosity, and fearlessness. I know this might not be so cool with you, but I'm talking about when we beat children, we subdue them. You might not believe what I'm saying, but yes, you help them to see beating as an instrument to motivate them the more. When you beat them, you bring out their bestiality the more. They grow wild and they feel it won't exceed beating. So when I do this, I get beaten and then I'm off. Children are innocent beings. They are curious. Children have the notion of distorting things to get knowledge into their heads. If a child picks up this thing, they will destroy it, know what is in there. They are curious. They want to know. And then later they can arrange it back. But you get there as an adult and you be like, why did you do that? And you start beating them, subduing them when they are trying to become future engineers. When you beat a child, you are subduing them because they are fearless. They can ask you questions. And that's the nature of a child. They are precious beings. They can ask you questions because they want to know more. And they can innocently do some things. The onus lies on us as adults to correct them in love. Help them to know that what you have done is wrong, and then you are better than this. There are different ways of protecting a child via correction. So talking about, let me tell my story. Storytelling is a very, very strong tool we do use now. Storytelling has to do with, this is what I've been going through, this is what I went through. Many times you see students of, in the university, you hear of people that maybe this is their particular profession. I heard of a professor who teaches people psychology, counseling, and he died of suicide. He could not put to use the education he's passing into people because something killed him when he was growing up. A damaged childhood, when a child is damaged, when a child is injured in childhood, it might be forever. It might be forever. So we should give children opportunity to tell stories. Educators, they want to talk to you. They want to explain things they're going through. Right in the class, from the principal, from their parents, from their neighbors. But you are not giving them opportunity to talk to you. You should be friendly if you want to protect the rights of a child as an educator. Because at last, if they fail in the home zone, they rely on you to be the next person to teach them. So they are looking forward to hearing from you. They want to tell you things. It's a pity most of us don't give them opportunity to tell their stories. So allow children to tell their stories. Then you get to know so many things they are going through. Then give me time, so I won't take your time. I give an example of that. Imagine you, when a child is like 8 months, of course they learn the spoon training, and then you're teaching them how to eat with the spoon and the plate. And a child is, you want to place food in front of a child, you place the food right in the middle here. Of course, the child will have to do a little stretching before they get the food. So while in a bit to putting in to use their own, wisdom too, they can draw that food closer to themselves and start eating. At the process of drawing, the food can even spill away. And then you come there and you start beating that child for your own negligence. If you are so much available for a child will not do the wrong thing. So if that food was actually placed at the right position, the child need not pour that food away. Talk less of you beating your child for what you should be doing. So to ensure that you really protect the rights of children, each school should get a child protection policy. Many schools do not have that. If you have a child protection policy, you will secure a child safeguarding officer in your school, a trained one, who will teach children what they should do. And also, we have child rights club in 54 schools, in public schools. I know some of our club coordinators are here. We got them trained. And these are people that receive, they receive cases of abuses children go through on a daily basis. So I charge school educators, ensure that you have a child protection policy for your school, and ensure that if it's possible, get a child rights club whereby children can report cases of abuses, and then it will be channeled to the right source. We have a stand actually at the back, so you can get more information on what, on all this. And then actually that 5 laws is a book. It's not even 5, there are 20. So if you need more information on that, you can contact me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We're going to quickly move on to the last segment of the pitches. We're going to have Mrs. Folakemi Tokumbo of the African Independent Television, AIT, come speak to us now for just 10 minutes. And after that, we're going to have a very short break, and then we will go into the workshop sessions. We have a very interesting lineup for our workshops. We'll be, like I told you earlier, we have the school owners and administrators session in the garden hall. We will have the secondary school teachers here in the great hall, and then we'll have the primary and early year teachers in the upper room upstairs. And we will be having Mrs. Funsho Adegbola, who will be taking the class for the school leaders and the administrators. So she will be hearing us speak at the workshop session. We'll have Mrs. Karen Nwulu, who is from American Christian Academy. She'll be talking to the early years and primary school section. And then we'll have Mr. Emeka Osai talking to the secondary school teachers. So that will be starting at 2:30. So right now we're going to invite Mrs. Folakemi Tokumbo. Where's she? To speak for AIT. 10 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name, as you mentioned, in broadcasting, we are always very cautious of time. So I'll just go straight to the point. I may not even spend up to 10 minutes. This is Africa Independent Television, the foremost TV and radio station in Nigeria. Well, Galaxy came first, AIT came, but AIT came and started 24-hour transmission. It has never happened before. NTA even started after us. Aren't we great? Yes, we are. Then REPA is the first independent radio station anyway. And we're here live in Ibadan. We're situated on the 5th floor of Cocoa House, Dugbe, very close by. And when it comes to children and education, dark communications, you know, we have this passion. My father, as a school start holder, got a job with a bank. Can any school start holder get that kind of opportunity now? Not even a first degree holder. No. Except probably you're a first class holder. Yes, fine. Maybe, you know, they'll consider you. But today you have to do masters, you have to do PhD before you get a very good job. No, I'm not talking about those that are well connected, you know, that they can get, you know, the job on a platter of gold. Without any doubt, you will agree with me that the standard of education is drastically on the decline. And Dark Communications is so much concerned about this. And we've been doing programs to help children. When I was in Lagos, I was producing teleclass in different subjects, especially physics, chemistry, biology. We're having that to help children. And we discovered that when we're doing those programs, you know, school results were getting better. So now here in Ibadan, we have some educational programs coming on board very soon. And I will appreciate Pastor here because he has been the one pushing me. Madam, let's do this. Madam, let's do that. And today I appreciate him because we are working on those programs. And we've written to the Ministry of Education, though we've not taken the letter, but we'll go very soon. So these programs are the B. The B is going to take care of spellings. In fact, the social media is not helping our children now. Because, you know, at times I find it difficult to read, you know, my WhatsApp messages and, you know, the likes when it comes from teenagers, you know, secondary school, primary school children. A lot of abbreviations that you don't, you know, that you won't understand. And it's really affecting them because now they get so used to it, they cannot spell correctly. They cannot spell. So that is the reason why we are bringing that program. It's not new. It's something people have been doing, but we're going to do as, you know, with a difference. You know, we're going to do it in such a way that it's going to be interesting, okay, for the children to be part of. And I know that schools want to be part of that. Then we have debate program. We have quiz programs. All these programs will be recorded here in this hall. Here in this hall. So we are inviting schools to partner with us. We are inviting educational institutions to partner with us in form of sponsorship, in form of giving us support. We need this because without this, we cannot sustain the programs. And we need to sustain the program. So it won't be just something we'll do in a season and it will die. We want it to be, you know, to go on for a long time. And please, I know all of us here are parents. They're watching Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. Please, let us discourage them. Yes, I know we can do, because if we don't discourage them, they will be missing a lot. Because what we're going to be doing is, well, as I said, we're working with the Ministry of Education. We're going to be using the school curriculum, for the questions and, everything that we're going to be doing. And if they miss out on these programs, it may affect them. Because what we're doing is trying to help. We're trying to help them so that, we can bring back education, especially in Oyo State. The standard of education in Oyo State has, in fact, it's nothing to talk home about. But thank God for the present government here. His Excellency, education is one of his core, agenda that he's working on. And maybe let me share this with you. One school proprietress said some time ago and said, hey, I'm in trouble. I said, what happened? She said, parents have withdrawn their children. That I lost 20 children to public schools, to the public school in Oyo State. Honestly. That is what Governor Seyi Makinde is doing. So, private schools, you have to tighten your belts. And make sure you retain your children. Yes. You have to retain your children. Yes. Yes, it depends on what kind of school. But please, what the governor is doing now, I hope he won't change that statement. It depends on what kind of school. Because if my child can get what I want from the government school, why do I pay so much in a private school? So please, every school proprietor, teachers representing any school here, don't go out of that door until you get to AIT stand there. We're here. Visit our stand and see what we do there. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hello. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been very, very amazing. You've been wonderful. Thank you for sitting through all the presentations, for the ones you fully understood and the ones you are yet to understand. But we thank you for at least bearing with us and, and I saw a lot of people writing very furiously. That's very, very encouraging. Reminds me, a friend of mine who is a teacher was releasing a story. I mean, probably some fable, but, it's very funny. Let me share it. Said, there was this child that came to school that day and had cotton wool in one ear. And so it was very concerned and said, why do you have cotton wool in this ear? Do you have an infection? And he said, no. She said, no. I said, okay, so what's wrong? He said, every time you always talk to me that whenever you say something to me, it enters through this ear and exits through this ear. So I don't want it to run away through this ear again. So I blocked it with cotton wool. All right? So some of us we also need to block one ear with cotton wool so that everything we have learned here today will not escape. This has been a major mind shift, a major paradigm shift in education in Oyo State. And I hope that we're going to begin to see the fruits of what we've started here today. All right? So we're going to go for a very short break right now, just about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And 2:30, we should all be back for the workshop sessions. Now, the workshop sessions are the meat of this event. Right? That's when you can get up close and personal with people who are in the field, who are doing exactly the things we've been talking about. Theory does not help anybody. We all know that, right? So practical is when you can come up close and you can ask personal questions. You can ask them. It's a no-holds-barred question and answer type of workshop. So it's a workshop, that's why. So you can ask questions, you can talk about problems, and you can jointly come up with solutions for a lot of pertinent issues that you guys are facing as educators and in your careers. All right, so please, we would crave your indulgence. Don't leave. Please come back at 2:30 so that we can have these workshop sessions and we can educate ourselves, enlighten ourselves. Now, the secondary school teachers are going to be here. They're going to be the ones in the big hall here. Mr. Emeka outside will be handling that. And then the primary school teachers will be in the upper room. So the upper room is just they're just in the next hall, and then there's a staircase that goes up. Just go to that room. That's where the primary school teachers will be, and then we'll have Miss Karen Unwulu of American Christian Academy. She'll be taking that stream for 45 minutes, and then we have the school leaders and administrators, owners, managers, directors, whatever title you hold, you fit into that category. They will be in the garden hall, and we have Mrs. Funshaw Adigbola of Vale College, and she will be doing justice to that class. So we're going to have an interesting time, guys. So please do not forget to come back, all right? Just move around, take a drink, and visit all the stands at the back, ask questions from the people who have presented so far, and then we'll expect you back at 2:30. God bless you all. See you guys at 2:30.